So hello aspirants, welcome to the discussion on weekly class test 21. Okay, so our first question will be from GS paper 2. The question is, the Indian constitution is a unique in its own way. So first keyword is unique, despite being an amalgamation of the constitutions of other countries, and we have to discuss this. Okay, so question is saying two things. First, it is saying that Indian constitution is unique in its own way. Okay, so we have to discuss the unique features, that what are the different features of Indian constitution, which are not different, which sets apart our constitution from other countries. And second part of the question is, despite being an amalgamation of constitution of other countries, means despite borrowing the features of other constitution, we are unique in our own way. Okay, so two things we have to do. So let's start with the structure, introduction, body and conclusion. So basically in introduction, no, you can define the significance of constitution or something like that, and in body part, no, first you will discuss that why we are calling our constitution as amalgamation of the constitution of other countries, and in the second part we will discuss what are the unique features. Okay, and then we will conclude our answer accordingly. Okay, so let's start with the introduction. Okay, so in introduction basically you can write about the significance, right? That no, Indian constitution is the supreme law of land and it is applicable to the constitution of any country, means a constitution of every country is the supreme law of land. Okay, and the main purpose of the constitution is to provide a framework for the governance of that country, or to provide a framework based on which the government of that country will work, or the different intro which you like. Okay, now coming to body part. So in body part, first of all you will discuss that the features which are borrowed from various constitutions. Okay, so I am discussing 2-3, you can describe more also. So for example, I will discuss of United Kingdom, I will discuss of USA, and maybe I can discuss of Irish constitution. So from UK, what we can say, we borrowed the concept of parliamentary democracy or parliamentary form of government we borrowed. From USA we can say we borrowed the concept of judicial review and fundamental rights. And from Irish constitution we can say we borrowed the concept of directive principles of state policies. So you can now elaborate in 1 or 2 lines if you like. Okay, so this was the first part of body, that in first part we are justifying that our constitution is amalgamation of these all features. Okay, now we will write what are the unique features. Despite of borrowing, what are the unique features? So first of all, you can write that it is the lengthiest written constitution of the world. Okay, so you can write that lengthiest written constitution of the world. And if you remember, you can write the number of articles, number of parts, these all things. Okay. Second thing, what is unique in Indian constitution, that it is the blend of rigidity and flexibility. Why I am saying this? Blend of rigidity and flexibility. Why I am saying rigidity? Because some of the features of Indian constitution cannot be amended through simple majority, right? If we are amending the constitution under the provisions of article 368, we need special majority. Okay, so through this we can say that no, there is some sort of rigidity. And if I am talking of flexibility, then there are various features which can be amended through simple majority. If I talk of example, so if I am talking of special majority, so recently the constitution was amended when the provision of EWS was added in article 15 and 16 of the constitution. So this kind of amendment needed special majority. Now if I am amending the features of article 1 or 2 of the constitution, I will be needing the simple majority. Okay. So this is the second unique feature, that is rigidity and flexibility, right? Now if I am talking about the third feature, okay, so I would say that, see, there are several federal provisions in the Constitution of India, but there are also some unitary provisions in the Constitution of India. So here also we can say that it is blend of federal features and unitary features, right? Federal features we can say, like we have the concept of bicameralism, or we have the concept of division of power, where powers is divided between the central government and various units, that is state government. Okay, so these are the federal features. If I talk of unitary features, what I can say, the All India services, All India services, or if I talk about second is, that is single citizenship, single citizenship. So these all are the features of unitary form, no, because state government do not have control over these features, right? So this is the third thing. Now the fourth unique thing if I will talk about, no, so see, you know that, no, the Constitution of India is based on secularism, okay, but Indian secularism is different from the Western form of secularism. So for Indian form of secularism we use the word positive, because here we don't have the complete separation between the religion and the government, because in India we respect all the religions equally. Okay, so in this way we can say that our secularism is different from the secularism of other countries. Okay, fifth feature you can say, fifth feature, that see, though we have borrowed the parliamentary form of government from United Kingdom, but still there are some differences, because here in India parliament is not supreme, constitution is supreme, but in UK parliament is supreme, it is supreme. So these are some of the unique features, right? Now let's come to the conclusion. So basically in the conclusion, no, you can derive the conclusion from all the matter which you wrote already in the answer, that no, Indian Constitution is a living document, or it is an organic document which changes as per the need of society. And if you want, you can give example of any amendment, that no, as an example, our constitutional amendment 106th or 107th Amendment Act was introduced to address such and such issues. Okay, so I think this was the discussion for the question number 1 from GS paper 2. Okay, now coming to the second question, which is from geography. So our question is, discuss the impacts of tropical cyclones originating in Indian Ocean region. So basically, first of all, you must be knowing some of the important names of tropical cyclones in the Indian Ocean region. Then you will discuss the impacts of those tropical cyclones. Okay, so coming to the structure, introduction, body and conclusion. So in introduction, why these tropical cyclones were in news? Because of recent cyclone Dana in the eastern states of India, that is Odisha and West Bengal. So if you are aware of the present news, then you can start your answer, introduce your answer with news, or else you can define what is tropical cyclone, right? The second point is, we have to discuss the impacts of tropical cyclone. So see, it's not like you will just write about the impacts of tropical cyclone, because you have to discuss these things. So no, first you will build a background of your answer, that no, what are the different conditions required for the development of tropical cyclone, okay, and you will know draw a diagram of tropical cyclones. Then you will come to impacts, because in discussion, when we have the directive discuss, you have to discuss all the possible things which you can, okay, and accordingly we will conclude our answer. Okay, so let's start, starting from the introduction. So I am starting with the very basic definition of tropical cyclone. Okay, so what we can say, that tropical cyclone are the rapidly rotating low pressure systems. Okay, rapidly rotating low pressure systems which originate in the tropical oceans. Okay, in the tropical oceans. Okay, now coming to the body part. So see, in body part, no, basically first of all you can write the conditions. that what are the conditions important for the development of tropical cyclone. So first thing what you will write about temperature, that around 27 to 28 degrees centigrade is required, right? Now if in the introduction I am saying they are rapidly rotating system, so what do we need for the rotation of cyclone? That is Coriolis force, right? And third thing what we need is, see what is happening in tropical cyclones, no, that the horizontal air is attracted towards a low pressure system. Okay, so what we want that there must be an increase in the wind speed of the vertical winds, of the horizontal winds, but there must not be the drastic change in the speed of vertical winds. See, so that's why I will write there must be low vertical wind shear. Means the winds which are in the horizontal direction, they can change their wind speed. But if we talk of the vertical direction, no, so if in the vertical direction there is much change in the speed of the winds, no, so the cyclone will lose its force. Okay, so that's why we say that we require low vertical wind shear, not the horizontal wind shear, right? So I have discussed the conditions which are required. Now you can make a very simple diagram of tropical cyclone. For example, this is sea surface. See, tropical cyclones can develop on sea surface only because they require the latent heat which they can easily get from sea surface. Okay, so this is the eye of the cyclone. Okay, this is the eye wall of cyclone, eye wall. Okay, so basically you can write the conditions also, that an eye, inside the eye, no, it is the subsiding air, and there are very calm conditions inside the eye, calm conditions, but at the eye wall the weather is violent, because here at the eye wall, no, the air is continuously rising only. This is the rising air. Okay, and if the air is rising, so here they will be created the rain bands, because rain is happening here, rain bands. Okay, so very simple diagram of cyclone you can make, and as a result of cyclone, what is the result? There will be formation of cumulonimbus clouds, because see here it will be rainfall, right? Here there won't be any rainfall, but here it will be rainfall. Okay, so basically what are the stages of the tropical cyclone? That, no, first it will be a depression. It will start with disturbance, then it will be converted into depression, then it will be converted into a cyclonic storm, then severe cyclonic storm. So these are the stages in the formation of tropical cyclones. Okay, so now coming to our main question, which is the impacts of tropical cyclone. So see, it is very easy to write the impacts, that no, there is loss of life and property, there is damage to environment, there is damage to health. But what will add value to your answer are the examples, that no, you explain that point through the examples. Okay, so let's see impacts. If I talk, no, if I am talking about impact, that is life loss of life. Okay, so here you can give example of cyclone Bhola in 1970s in West Bengal. So no, till date this cyclone is known as the deadliest cyclone, because I think it took lives of around 3 to 5 lakh people. Now coming to economic losses. So here I am giving example of recent cyclone, that is cyclone Dana. So it led to damage of infrastructure, crops, these all things. Okay, so see what I am doing, I am not explaining any point with example, so this will add value to your answer. Now if I will talk about the health issues. Okay, So see what happens, no, after the occurrence of cyclones, there will be outbreak of various diseases, like for example malaria. There will be outbreak of all such issues. Okay. Now if I talk about the environmental damage. So see, here you can give example of cyclone Nivar at the coast of Tamil Nadu. So what happened here in cyclone Nivar, there were loss of various mangroves because of the very high speed and energy of cyclone Nivar. Okay. So I think you can discuss these all things under the impacts. Okay. Now when you write about the conclusion, no. So see, basically tropical cyclones or temperate cyclones, these are geographical disasters only. Okay, so when you write in conclusion, so you can write the measures which can be taken to reduce all these losses. Okay, and a very good example you can give here is that recently in cyclone Dana, the government of Orissa has declared 0 casualties. Means everyone is rescued successfully. So you can give the example of government of Orissa, that Orissa government and the government of West Bengal and states in the eastern India are taking very significant steps to deal with all these issues. Okay, so that's it from my side. Thank you.